So, good morning, dear friends, dear sisters, dear brothers, dear friends. Today is the 4th of May, and we are in the Assembly of Stars Meditation Hall. And this morning we have a question and answer session. So we have a chance to, if you have a question in your heart, you have a chance to come up here and sit with us on the panel and ask your question, and we will try our best to answer. You can take turns coming up, but I'd like to explain a little bit about the spirit of question and answer. So it's a chance for us to ask a question from the heart. And it could deal with our happiness or our suffering. It may be a question that we have had in our heart for a long time that we have not dared to ask anyone, or it may be a question that has tormented us for a long time, and we have not had a chance to express it. Or it could be, something that you feel may help you in your practice, in your daily practice of mindfulness. But if you have questions about Buddhist numerology, like what are the 3 doors of liberation, what are the 5 powers, what are the 7 factors of awakening, etc., we can always Wikipedia it, or there's a huge store of knowledge on the internet that we can look up, and all of that is just information. But my sisters and I are here today to share with you our humble experiences in the practice. So if you have a question, we will do our best to provide you with our humble answers. And we will try our best to also share with you from our experience of the practice of mindfulness. So if you are ready, you can come and join us up here and ask your question. So the question may be a live question, or it may be a written question, and we have some already written here. And if you feel that it's too difficult for you to come up here to ask your question live, but you really want to ask your question, you can always pass a piece of paper up with your written question. Yeah. And maybe I should take a moment to introduce my sisters. So on my left, immediate left, is Sister Blue Sky, Sister Thanh. Next to her is Sister Dao Nghiêm. She's French, by the way. If you have questions in French, she'll answer directly in French. Or English. And then next to Sister Dao Nghiêm is Sister Tịnh Hằng. And she will answer in Vietnamese today. And my name is Sister Lăng, and we're all very happy to be with you this morning. So please. So before and after each question, we will enjoy one sound of the bell.
Dear Thai, dear Sangha, dear sisters, I have quite a lot of cancer cells in me, And on the one hand, I try to fight the cancer within me with classical medical treatments like chemotherapy, hormonal therapy, or whatever. And I'm also wishing that I'd be free from cancer cells. On the other hand, I know that these cells are part of me, and they are me, and I am they, and I try to love them. And I'm also grateful for my disease, because it allowed me to change my life in a way that my life now is more beautiful than it has been before. I'm happier. I live more love with my family. But I don't know how to deal with this disparage of, on the one hand, trying to kill the cancer cells within me, on the other hand, to love them and to see them as being part of myself. And here I would like to have some advice. Thank you. My daughter still wants to say something. Was hast du gesagt? She asks why you don't have any hair anymore.
Dear Thai, dear community, dear friends, what is your name? Felix. Thank you, Felix, for your question. And today the sun is shining and beautifully in the leaves, and your daughter is sitting on your knees, and it's a happy moment. And I don't have advice to give you, but so I can just tell you what's in my heart, and is to try to really live the present moment as fully as you can, recognizing when the fear when the fear comes up, the fear of the unknown, because we don't know what's going to happen with the body, how the body is going to answer to the cancer cells. They are there, and we wish them to heal and transform themselves in a way that they don't damage our body. In fact, it's more a transformation of the cell more than to kill them or things like that. I prefer to see more into a transformation, the way of speaking to ourselves. So it's like bringing the gentleness, the tenderness within our body, and but is to really live fully for your family, and see what you want to transmit, what you want, each one of us, because each one of us, we don't know. We don't know when our physical body will go, and what do we want to leave behind ourselves, what do we want to transmit and live to, what you want to leave for your daughter. And so, yeah, and it's to really nourish yourself, nourish yourself as much as possible with positive thought, positive what you read, what you listen to, what you watch, like really, and try to understand at the same time what is not nourishing me and what is worrying me or stressing me, and letting go of things which are not essential in our way of thinking or what we do. Is like really everything in our life become very precious when we go through a disease like that. Every moment is so precious, and for all of us it is like that. But when we are confronted with a disease within our body, which make us like realize, oh, something is happening, then everything become very, very precious. So it's lately some of my sister and myself, we've been going to see a lady who lived nearby who was diagnosed with terminal cancer already a year ago, and she discovered the practice. She's not able to come to Plum village. She cannot. She has a bone cancer and a lung cancer. But since a year, she discovered the practice of Plum village and asked us if we could go and see her, which we did. And then we introduced her to the practice and encouraged her to watch the Dharma talk through the internet, read books, and then we went to practice with her. We do that regularly. And since 1 year, the cancer hasn't changed. No, it stays stable. And then she's able to walk a little bit. We practice walking meditation with her. And she's, for sure, the fear comes up, the fear of it's many kind of different fear. But she rediscovered life in a very with deep happiness inside, and kind of accepting what's happening and why it's happening, and touching life in a different way. So it's, it's just my humble answer. I know it's something not easy to go through, especially when you're young. I lost most of my beloved one through cancer, and I know what it is, but I didn't live it in my own body. So it's only from my, what I can share with you, like that. And then I want to answer to your little daughter why we have no hair. Yeah. There is many different answer. When maybe I let my sister answer this one. Anyone? Do you want to add anything? Some of my sister to add to our the little daughter, and for the dad, for Felix.
Con kính bạch sư, con kính thưa đại chúng. Chào em bé dễ thương. Đối với con thì trả lời cho em bé thì là vì các sư cô muốn không cần phải tốn xà bông nhiều, cho nên là các sư cô cạo tóc. Nhưng một mặt thì mình muốn thực tập lý tưởng của mình và thực hiện được cái niềm tin ở trong mình, thì mình muốn buông bỏ một cái gì đó để mình
thực tập cho nó tự do hơn, thì một trong những cái mà để mình buông bỏ nó thì mình cũng là một trong những cái mình cạo tóc. Thì các thầy các sư cô đã có một cái hành động, một cái lời phát nguyện để mình cùng làm điều đó. Dạ. Và con muốn chia sẻ một chút về chuyện của chủ. Con thấy hiện tại giờ thì xã hội mình cũng rơi vào tình trạng bệnh tật cũng khá nhiều. Và mình làm sao để mình sống với một cái thân thể mạnh khỏe, có nhiều bình an, mà không phải những cái chướng ngại mà mình có thể mà vượt qua được. Khi mà mình biết mình bị ung thư thì mình rất là hốt hoảng và rất là sợ hãi. Nếu một người mà không thực tập thì mình rất là bị sốc. Và mình không có một cái đường hướng để mình đi. Và khi mà mình bị sốc và mình thấy mọi thứ là nó trở thành màu đen hết. Và những người xung quanh mình cũng trở thành màu đen luôn. Và mình thấy một bầu trời rất là u ám. Nhưng mà con thấy chủ là may mắn biết được, trước khi mình ung thư mình biết được con đường để mình đi. Đó là sự thực tập chánh niệm của mình. Trong cơ thể của mình có rất là nhiều tế bào. Và khi mà mình biết một tế bào nào đó đang đau nhức và đang kêu gọi mình với một cái tình thương, với một cái sự quan tâm, thì mình phải biết cách để mình chăm sóc bằng sự trở về với chính tự thân của mình. Và mình cảm nhận được cơ thể nào, bộ phận nào trong cơ thể của mình đau nhức thì mình gửi năng lượng đến và mình sống có ý thức hơn. Thường á, mình hay bị lôi cuốn theo cái đời sống bận rộn và mình không có quan tâm đến cơ thể của mình. Nhưng mà khi mà mình được nhắc nhở, mình được kêu gọi, và thì mình quay về với tự thân mình. Con hay nói với bản thân con, không ai thương mình bằng chính tự thân mình hết. Nhiều khi mình thương người khác rất là nhiều, hoặc là mình lo lắng cho họ rất nhiều. Nhưng mà chính từ bản thân mình thật sự chưa có trở về. Và khi mà mình có cơ hội để trở về thì cũng là một cái căn bệnh để mình có cơ hội trở về với cái thân của mình. Và thân và tâm là một. Nếu như mình hai cái mà tách rời thì chắc chắn mình rất là khó khăn để mà mình chăm sóc nó. Thì khi mà chủ biết được cái may mắn là chủ nói là khi mà chủ thấy bệnh á, thì chủ thấy mình muốn trở về hơn và có mặt cho gia đình hơn. Thì đó là một tin vui mà chủ đã thực tập và đã thấy được sự mầu nhiệm của người thân của mình như thế nào. Cũng giống như sự mầu nhiệm của cái cơ thể mình lên tiếng nói như thế nào với chính từ thân mình. Thì ít nhất chủ cũng đã tìm ra được cái ánh sáng để mình đi. Và cái ánh sáng đó nó sẽ tiếp tục, nếu chủ tiếp tục nuôi dưỡng cái ánh sáng đó, và mình đã có đường đi rồi thì mình không có còn lo sợ nữa. Và mình đi tới tiếp những cái gì nó đẹp và cái lành thì mình sẽ thừa hưởng cái đó. Nếu mà còn khoảng một ngày mà mình sống có hạnh phúc thì mình rất là trân quý cái ngày đó. Mà nếu như mình có được một tuần hạnh phúc, một tháng hạnh phúc hay là một năm hạnh phúc, mà mình cảm nhận được cái cơ thể của mình thì mình sẽ chăm sóc nó, mình sống cho trọn vẹn cái thời gian mà mình đang có mặt ở đây. Ngày xưa con cũng được nghe trong mấy buổi giảng của các vị thượng tọa. Nhiều khi trong những kinh mà ngày xưa của Bụt có giống trong tập Aham hay gì đó, thì có nhắc đến những cái chuyện mà cái cơ thể của một vị mà quá đau nhức thì họ cũng muốn hủy hoại cái thân thể đó, để họ muốn giải thoát cái thân đó. Nhưng mà cái cách làm đó thì nó không có được thương yêu lắm, và không có được mình chăm sóc mình một cách đẹp hơn, thương yêu với một cái cơ thể mình. Bởi vì trong cha mẹ mình sinh mình ra cho mình một cái hình hài thì nó rất là quý báu. Và khi mình thừa hưởng cái này cũng có thể, căn bệnh ung thư cũng là một cái di truyền của trong gia đình mình nữa, mà cũng phải là do mình ăn uống tiêu thụ nó đem tới. Mà nhiều khi trong cái tế bào của cha mẹ mình đã có cái mầm mống đó, thì nếu như ngày xưa cha mẹ mình không có biết đạo, không biết sự thực tập, nhưng mà bây giờ mình lại có một cái con đường, thì mình làm sao để mình thực tập để mình hòa điều với cái cơ thể của mình, và đồng thời mình cũng chuyển hóa được cái tế bào ung thư đó trong huyết thống gia đình của mình, để mình đem lại cho cái sự huyết thống của gia đình mình một cách mạnh mẽ hơn, có nhiều cơ hội để mình sống thọ hơn, sống có hạnh phúc hơn. Thì đó là tùy cái lựa chọn của mình. Và khi mà mình lựa chọn một nếp sống lành mạnh, có nhiều hạnh phúc trong gia đình của mình, nhất là gia đình nhỏ của mình, thì con chúc chủ có nhiều hạnh phúc khi mà mình còn lại. Nếu mà mình còn lại cái quãng đời này, dù đó là ngắn ngủi, thì mình sống cho nó trọn vẹn và sống có ý nghĩa. Khi mình sống có ý nghĩa thì chắc chắn mình sẽ trị liệu rất là nhiều. Có nhiều khi mà mình sống lành, sống mà có nhiều niềm vui á, thì có thể mình may mắn thì tế bào ung thư đó nó sẽ tự động biến mất. Nếu mình sống có hạnh phúc, mình sống có tự do, và con tin chắc chủ sẽ có được hạnh phúc nếu chủ đã gặp được cái môi trường mà mình tạo cho mình có cơ hội để mình tìm hiểu thêm về căn bệnh của mình, có mặt cho căn bệnh của mình, cũng giống như có mặt cho tăng cho gia đình của mình, và đi đến với tăng thân để sinh hoạt. Thì cái niềm vui đó nó sẽ giúp chủ rất là nhiều với cái căn bệnh của mình. Dạ, con cảm ơn đại chúng đã lắng nghe. Cảm ơn chủ.
I heard in your question a little bit that you felt your compassion is a bit compromised when you have to kill off the cancer cells I feel that's a bit of a conflict in your heart when you are moving forward in your treatment plans with your cancer. And I just want to say that the cancer cells in your body also have the nature of no birth and no death. Yeah. So we think that we are killing off the cancer cells, but in fact, we cannot kill off anything. The cancer cells in our body will continue to be other things. It will continue to, you can continue to breathe it out, you can continue to excrete it. Even a part of the cancer cells that we have quote unquote killed off will also become a part of our healthy cells. Yeah. So there's no conflict. Yeah. Everything continues. So I hope in finding a treatment plan that you have peace in your heart when you move on. And that peace and that compassion also will help you, will help to facilitate the healing in your body. Yeah. Thank you. So dear friends, if you have a question that you would like to ask live, you can come and sit close up here, and when one person is finished asking his or her question, then you can join us on the chair. Or for now, we can take a written question. So the question is, Dear Te, dear Sangha, how to practice in order to cultivate the mind of love in serving the Sangha and cut through the selfish mind? How to practice with the feeling of injustice? How to slowly let go of the desire to be recognized and loved for the work we do? It's 3 questions, but really one. Huh? So I don't know if my sisters would like to. Should I repeat the question? How to practice in order to cultivate the mind of love in serving the Sangha and cut through the selfish mind? How to practice with the feeling of injustice? How to slowly let go of the desire to be recognized and loved for the work we do?
So how to practice in order to cultivate the mind of love in serving the Sangha and cut through the selfish mind? So my simple answer, because in mindfulness is one important element of mindfulness is recognition. So to recognize. So will be that if I use my breath and I stop and I can recognize, do I serve the Sangha? Do my mind is in a selfish mood as I'm serving the Sangha? Is to recognize, or am I serving with my heart open and with love? So it's just to recognize in the action that I'm doing, is it I do it because I want to be recognized by the Sangha, by the people around me, I want to be loved? Do I do that for me, or do I just offer? It's a gift that I offer. I just offer whatever I can. So it's just to recognize. How to practice with a feeling of injustice. If I'm in a situation and I feel it's unjust, myself, I will try to see, to open my vision to see the situation. Maybe there is certain aspect in the situation which I didn't see. So maybe I feel it's unjust, but I try to understand the point of view of the different people who were involved in the situation, and see that maybe my feeling of injustice is based on some wrong perception that I may have or that the people may have. So it's really a work of coming back to my breathing, to a certain clarity of mind. So it's to stop, to breathe, to go for a walk, and to take time with this feeling of injustice, to take time to explore it and understand. Is it something really unjust? And maybe it is. But the best attitude to have is not to. I will rephrase it. Is the best attitude is to come from a peaceful mind to approach this feeling of injustice or this situation of injustice. Is to come with an attitude of peace. And then how to slowly let go of the desire to be recognized and loved for the work we do. It comes when we recognize. Everything has to do with to be mindful of. So I'm mindful of that I have the wish to be recognized. And I can see, if it hurts inside, okay, because I had this wish to be recognized, and it's okay, it's normal. But bit by bit, with the practice, as the time goes, and recognizing, here it is, I want to be recognized, or I'm acting to be recognized, or I'm acting to be loved, and maybe there is reason from my childhood or from my ancestor who were not recognized or loved, and okay, I see that in myself, that this brings suffering, and we bring healing within our mind with the practice of simply mere recognition, just mere recognition of what is there within ourselves. So I don't know if some of my sister would like to add on this. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you. So we will listen to a sound of the bell, and then we will listen to your question, dear friend.
Dear Thai, dear Sangha, I have a question. I would like to have an answer to my question. And I have a very short question, and I would like to have one word for that question, one answer, an answer in one word. Because many words confuse me. I would like to know
what brings peace to the earth? What brings peace to the earth? Cosa crea pace nel mondo? Qu'est-ce qui porte la paix dans le monde? Que, no sé, no soy muy familiar con el idioma español, pero no sé si hay españoles aquí. ¿Cómo se hace paz en el mundo? Wie können wir Frieden schaffen auf der Welt? And in Berndeutsch, this is my, because I live in Bern, this is Switzerland. In Berndeutsch, wie können wir Frieden schaffen auf dem Planet? And I have, it was now long because I translated in the language I know. And but if it's possible, is there a response? Is there a reply? Is there I wonder if there is a word, if the answer could be in one word. It is very, very, because I am very shy. I am really very shy. And it's for me so difficult to talk in front of many people.
Dear friend, I cannot give it in one word, but I can give it in 9. It's a calligraphy from our teacher, which is one of the most inspiring calligraphy that I have above my bed, that I look every day. And in French, I give it la paix en soi, la paix dans le monde. In French, it's 9 words. In English, it will be peace, peace in us, in ourselves, peace in ourselves, peace in the world. 7 words. So 1 word, turn to your right, look up, and this is the only word, breathe.
Perhaps that's a question Wikipedia can answer better than my sisters up here. Shall we take another written question if there are no more live questions?
So I just wanted to add a little bit to the question of our friend, because I think it's a very important question, and I want to recognize the courage to come up to ask a question when we are very shy. But when I ask our friend to turn and to look at this beautiful calligraphy from our teacher, which says breathe, it's one of the most, it seems the most simple thing, or like But in fact, it's one of the most powerful practice that we can have, is because the breath is what brings us back to our true home, to our body, to the present moment. And the breath is breathing, to breathe, to come back. We can have clarity of mind. We can really touch life very, very deeply. But it's something that seems so normal that we don't pay too much attention. And if we look at this beautiful calligraphy, and I invite you to turn and look, when our teacher wrote this calligraphy, he breathed. He was breathing. He breathed with his hand, making the circle. He breathed in breath to draw the B, the R, the E, the A, the T, the H, the E. He put his whole being into this writing, in this calligraphy. So when we look at it, and if we breathe at the same time we look at it, we can really feel and receive his love, his compassion, his peace. And then ourselves, we will feel, it will touch in ourselves this seed of compassion, of peace, of love, of understanding. And then we will awaken to something, a very different dimension of our being. And this will transform the whole world. So it's just one word, but so powerful. And so I just wanted to add that to our friend and express my gratitude for her to have the courage to come up. Thank you.
Perhaps I'll add that I think to us, if you are looking for one word to solve the problem of peace in the world, we cannot give it. Because peace is not a word. Peace is not, peace cannot be offered by one word, but peace is offered in your actions, in your speech, in your thinking. So every word that you say, every thought that you have, every action that you make, does it have the quality of peace? Is there peace in your words? Is there peace in your thinking? And is there peace in your actions? And that is what we consider peace. So peace is not just an idea. It is not just a word, but it's our actions of body, speech, and mind. So when we walk, we want peace in the world. But are we imprinting anger on the earth? Are we imprinting frustration on the earth? Are we imprinting hurriedness, rushing, pressure, etc.? And if we are, that's not exactly peace. So each of our steps can generate peace, actually. Even while we're breathing, when we breathe, are we breathing out anger? Are we breathing frustration? Are we breathing confusion? And just by the way we breathe, we can also generate peace. And the people around us, the immediate people in our immediate surrounding, they can feel the peace that we generate just by the way we breathe. Just by our presence alone, people can feel the peace that you have, and that is already generating peace in the world. So you have one small circle, and you can just imagine all the different concentric circles, and the rippling effect of the peace that one person can generate, the rippling effect that it has in the peace in the world. So the question was not one that we can answer as because it's not something that we believe in, one word. It's like in the old times. Actually, this happens in many traditions also. You end up having a kind of, it works on some level maybe, but you have a kind of devotional practices Or, you know, in some traditions, including Buddhism, you have practices where you would just chant one word over and over and over again, and then you believe that, you know, the bombs will stop falling, XYZ will stop being president, or etc. You know, you believe in these magical powers of one word. But in fact, that is kind of a devotional practice, and it might help to bring relief into your heart to some extent, but it may not solve the situation of the world. So the one word to us is not. There are many words actually that can water the seeds of peace, and each one of us we can learn how to use the many words, the many beautiful words that can help to build peace and help to create peace in the world. So it's not just one word, it's many, many words. Throughout the day, you can produce many, many words that have the effect and that can bring about peace in the world and reconciliation. So I think it's a koan for each one of us to, and also it's a call to action for each one of us. It's not just one word. Thank you so much for listening. We will listen to one sound of the bell.
Cher Toy, cher Sangha, mon cœur bat très fort et je tremble de venir ici.
So, dear Thai, dear Sangha, my heart is beating very fast as I'm sitting here, and there's some resistance in me.
Je veux partager mon expérience de la maladie, mais aussi de la pratique.
I'd like to share my experience about illness and about practice.
Donc, je viens au Prunier depuis 1 an et demi.
I've been coming to Plum Village since 1.5 years.
Aux journées de pleine conscience, puisque j'ai la chance d'habiter à 3/4 d'heure d'ici.
Actually, I come to the mindfulness days every week because I'm very lucky and I live only 45 minutes away from here.
En juin dernier, mon fils a été très malade.
Last year, my son was very ill.
Il a 11 ans et il est guéri maintenant.
He's 11 years old and now he's healed.
Quand il était à l'hôpital, j'ai appelé Plum Village pour demander à un moine ou une nonne de venir me soutenir parce que dans la chambre, il y avait le numéro du village.
So while he was in the hospital, I called Plum Village to ask if a brother or a sister could come here, could come to the hospital to support my son, because to support me. And because I had the number to call and I felt very close to Plum Village practice.
Et le moine a répondu, c'est impossible pour nous parce que nous préparons la fête du Tête qui aura lieu demain et nous recevons 1000 personnes. Donc tous les moines et nonnes sont très occupés.
And when I called, the brother who answered said, I'm very sorry, but it's not possible right now because we're preparing for the Vietnamese New Year, which will take place tomorrow, and we're going to be hosting about 1,000 people, so everyone is very busy.
Mais il a dit, je peux proposer qu'on envoie l'énergie de guérison à votre fils. Donnez-moi son prénom Et demain, à 11h, il y aura 1000 personnes qui enverront cette énergie pour lui.
But the monk said, we cannot come, but we can actually send healing energy to you and to your son. And tomorrow there will be 1,000 people, and about 11 o'clock, 1,000 people will be sending this healing energy to you and to your son.
Et c'était un merveilleux cadeau parce que je demandais une seule personne pour me soutenir moi et je recevais le soutien de 1000 personnes pour soutenir mon fils. Donc c'était plus que je pouvais espérer.
And actually it was a wonderful present because I had been asking for only one person to support me, and I actually got 1,000 people to support my son, so it was much more than what I could have hoped for.
Donc le lendemain à 11h, j'ai demandé à mon fils de recevoir cette énergie. J'ai expliqué, on était venu pour la fête de la naissance de Bouddha et il y avait 700 personnes. Donc je lui ai demandé de se représenter 1000 personnes qui lui envoyaient tout leur amour et leur force pour qu'il puisse dépasser cette épreuve.
And so I went to see my son, and actually we had already come to Plum Village for Buddha's birthday when there were actually 700 people. So this time I asked him to visualize that there would be 1,000 people sending him energy, healing energy at 11 o'clock. And I asked him to open himself to receive this healing energy so that he could go through the challenge that was happening.
Donc après 10 jours d'hôpital et de souffrance où je faisais ce que je pouvais en tant que maman, mais où je souffrais moi-même et d'être impuissante.
So after 10 days of hospital and of suffering, when I was there as his mother to support him, but where I was also feeling a lot of suffering,
nous avons continué. Bon, l'épreuve était dépassée, mais nous devons continuer à voir les médecins qui ont annoncé une opération en octobre pour le mettre en sécurité, donc opération nécessaire.
So the challenge seemed to be, we seem to have gone through the challenge, but we still needed to stay there for some treatment, and the doctors prescribed a chirurgical intervention in October in order to make sure that my son would be safe.
Donc tout était chamboulé, le planning des vacances, avec il ne pouvait plus aller mettre la tête sous l'eau, etc. Mais il fallait continuer à être joyeux.
So everything seemed to be put a little bit up and down because during this period we couldn't go on holidays anymore. He couldn't swim and have his head under the water, and there were many things like that, but we still had to be joyful.
Au mois d'août, je suis allée à Paris. Donc nous avons continué nous sommes partis en camping. Je souhaitais vraiment être dans une dynamique positive.
So in August we went to Paris, and before that we did a lot of camping and things like that because we really wanted to be in a positive mood.
Et au mois d'août, je suis allée en formation de kinésiologie. J'ai commencé ma formation de kinésiologie et j'ai demandé à la personne qui a 80 ans maintenant, très sage, qui est le fondateur de l'école, comment je pouvais faire pour aider mon fils avec tous ces outils que j'avais maintenant.
And so in August I went to Paris to do a training to be keen, like a kind of therapist that works with the body. And I asked the director of the studies of this school to please give me some advice or show me ways to help my son with all the tools I'd learned.
Donc nous avons discuté longtemps sur son cas clinique et à la fin, il n'avait pas de réponse. Et il m'a dit simplement, à la mère que tu es, ton fils n'ira bien que si tu vas bien toi-même.
And so we talked for some time with this director of the school I was in, and I shared with him the clinical status of my son, and after a while he found out that he didn't have any answer, and that's when he started talking to the mother that I was, and he told me, "You're his mother, so it's only if you yourself go well that your son will also be well."
And I knew, je savais que, je savais que c'était vrai et que c'était juste et que je devais changer et bien sûr être attentive à lui, mais me nourrir moi surtout.
And I knew that it was true and that it was right, and that yes, of course, I had to pay attention to my son, but what was first needed was to really take care of myself.
Et donc, le week-end avant son opération, il y avait des amis à la maison et il a dit « Mais c'est tout le temps la fête, en fait, ici. » Et j'ai dit « Oui, mais on va pas commencer à se faire du souci alors que l'opération, c'est plus tard. Donc, on continue d'être dans le moment présent et de vivre intensément les moments que nous avons. »
And so the weekend before the chirurgical intervention, we had many friends at home and there was a kind of very joyful atmosphere. So when my son came in, he said, "Oh, but it's like always partying here." And I told him, yes, the chirurgical intervention will only take place in a few days, so we won't start worrying about it. We can just still enjoy life and enjoy the present moment and try to really live fully what is happening today so that we nourish joy.
Et donc l'opération s'est passée beaucoup plus tranquillement.
And so the chirurgical intervention went on with much more peace.
Et aujourd'hui, il est à l'école et tout va bien.
And today he's back at school and everything is going well.
Et je continue à apporter la paix dans mon cœur pour apporter la paix dans le monde.
And I keep cultivating peace in my heart so that I can bring peace to the world.
Et je continue à apporter la guérison dans mon cœur pour apporter la guérison dans le monde.
And I keep bringing healing into my heart so that I can bring healing to the world.
Donc, ma question.
So now I come to the question.
Je voudrais demander à vous et à la Sangha, est-ce que nous pouvons, je connais le pouvoir très fort de l'énergie de guérison, donc pouvons-nous envoyer cette énergie de guérison pour tous les gens qui souffrent et pour le monde et pour notre planète Terre?
So my question is, I'd like to ask, because now that I've experienced the strength of the healing energy, I'd like to ask, can we send this healing energy to all the people who are suffering on Earth and to the planet Earth herself?
Dear respected Thai, dear brothers and sisters and dear friends, and thank you for your beautiful sharing and your questions. I think that every day when we, after we eat formal lunch or informal lunch, there's always a note that sent energy to those who are in need to be sent to. And if we want to send our energy to the whole world, and it's not only us. When we chant the Bodhisattva's name, and when we chant the Bodhisattva's name, the Bodhisattva's doing the work for us. You understand? So when you want us to send the energy to the world, just leave a note in the bell, and then we do the chanting, and then we send the energy for the world. Okay? Thank you.
So, dear friends, I think we have only time for one more question. And we're having trouble selecting. So the final question is, have my adopted daughter inherited both the suffering of her Vietnamese and her Swedish family? Cô trả lời không?
We need to ask the person who wrote the question for us here. It's not very clear. Is it a child was adopted by a Swedish family, and then it's from Vietnamese? The child is from Vietnamese ancestry, and we need to have a little bit of clarification about the question to be able to answer. I don't know if the person would like to come up. You want? You okay? Thank you so much. Yeah.
In 1988, my friends gave me the idea to adopt a child from Vietnam. And I thought I just couldn't say no, so I went down, and she's now 29 years old. And when I read about, and when Tai talked about how you inherit all the suffering from your ancestors, then I thought of my daughter, and I wondered, has she inherited both the suffering from her Vietnamese family and then on top of my Swedish family? And that's my question. Am I clear enough? Yes.
Con kính bạch sư ông, con kính thưa đại chúng. Hôm qua con ngồi ăn trước bàn có mặt của cô ấy. Và con thấy cô có nụ cười rất là đẹp. Khi mà bưng thức ăn tới nơi bàn ấy, thì mặc dù buổi sáng mình ăn không có nói chuyện và chỉ im lặng thôi, và con bắt gặp được cái nụ cười rất là hoan hỉ, và tự nhiên cái hình ảnh của Đức Bụt Di Lặc nó hiện lên trong con. Con nói là ôi sao bạn này có cái nụ cười giống Bụt Di Lặc vậy ta? Thì con không biết là cô đã thực tập với tăng thân mình bao lâu rồi, nhưng mà cô đã thừa hưởng được cái nụ cười của Bụt Di Lặc. Bụt Di Lặc là có cái bông bự như này, có mấy bé nhỏ chung quanh là hay chọc giỡn với Đức Bụt lắm. Cho nên Bụt rất là hoan hỷ. Bụt có nụ cười hoan hỷ, tâm Bụt cũng rất là hoan hỷ. Và kể cả tình thương của Bụt cũng rất là chứa đầy. Thì có thể trước tiên cô nhận một đứa bé từ Việt Nam qua, cũng đó là một tình thương. Và cũng muốn trước tiên thì mình muốn có một người cùng chung sống với mình, để mình có cái ấm áp ở trong gia đình. Và chính cái hành động đó mình mới mình có niềm vui đó, mình mới đi kiếm người để mình nuôi sống và muốn dạy dỗ một người nào đó, hoặc là muốn thương yêu một người nào đó. Thì cái hành động đó cô đã làm rất là đẹp. Và khi mà tuy rằng là một đứa con nuôi, nhưng nhiều khi cha mẹ mình sinh ra và mình không có cơ hội để ở chung. Nhưng mà người dạy của mình, người nuôi lớn mình, đó là thật sự là người gắn bó với mình nhiều nhất và thương yêu mình nhiều nhất. Và cái tình thương đó mình có thể sống gần 29 năm mà mình tách rời nó ra được. Bởi vì trong đó đã hình thành như là một gia đình huyết thống rồi. Và khi mà sống khác văn hóa với nhau thì lớn lên hình thành của con người đó thì nó cũng có cái sự khác nhau. Ở trong tăng thân Lăng Mai là mình có mấy chút nước tới tu tập với nhau. Và trong chúng xuất sĩ cũng vậy, cũng có rất là nhiều môi trường và tính cách rất là khác nhau. Con thì thích ăn mì gói, nhưng mà sư cô Đào Nghiêm thì chắc chắn không bao giờ thích ăn mì gói. Và nó cũng trở thành một cái sự xung đột. Và cái sự xung đột đó nó cũng là một cái nó rất là hay để mình tìm hiểu được cái văn hóa của nhau. Thì cũng có những lúc chúng con bàn thảo về chuyện ăn uống gần 3-4 tiếng. Và chung quanh chuyện ăn uống thôi là cũng đã có một vài vấn đề rồi. Bởi vì khi mà cái nếp sống của một con người Việt, sự hình thành con người Việt nó rất là khác. Cái cơ thể nó khác, sự ăn uống cũng khác. Tuy rằng là đứa bé đó lớn lên từ Tây Phương, nhưng mà trong cái đứa bé đó nó cũng có cái hạt giống của người Việt. Và hình thành từ trong máu của em đó đã có văn hóa của người Việt rồi. Và chính hai cái văn hóa nó khác nhau á, thì nó có cái sự xung đột với nhau. Và khi mà em đã có quá nhiều khổ đau thì có thể trong gia đình huyết thống, tổ tiên tâm linh của em đó cũng đã chịu rất là nhiều cái khổ đau. Ví dụ như khổ đau chiến tranh Việt Nam rất là lâu, rất là dài. Và chính trong bản thân con không có sống trong cái thời chiến tranh đó, nhưng mà con cũng thừa hưởng được cái hạt giống khổ đau đó từ tổ tiên huyết thống của con. Và có những lúc con cảm thấy mình phản ứng về những cái giống như ai nói gì đó mà mình cảm thấy mình bị tự ái dân tộc á, thì con người mình nó cũng nóng lên và mình cảm giác mình không có, mình bị xúc phạm và mình bị coi thường. Thì tự nhiên những cái hạt giống đó nó được thừa hưởng và được thừa hưởng trong cái tâm thức của mình hết. Thì nếu như mình có nhiều tình thương rồi thì mình cũng có thể tìm hiểu thêm một chút nữa về cái sự khổ đau ở bên trong, bằng cách là mình sống với em đó. Mình có khi nào đã từng vỗ về và hỏi rằng con có khổ đau gì, có thể nói cho mẹ biết được không? Có thể quá khứ của con hay là sự hình thành những cái hạt giống mà tổ tiên đã trao truyền cho con thì con có thể nói về mẹ được không? Mình có thể lắng nghe nhau, mẹ có thể lắng nghe con và con cũng có thể lắng nghe mẹ. Thì khi mà mình làm được như vậy thì trong lòng mình cũng được tháo gỡ, mà cái đứa bé đó cũng được tháo gỡ và có cảm giác mình sống trong môi trường hoàn toàn là Tây phương mà mình không có bị lạc lõng, và mình không có bị mình là một cơ thể khác ấy. Thì con rất là thương các sư em Tây phương của con, nhưng mà có những lúc con cũng có phản ứng, bởi vì có thể nó khác cái sự khác biệt của mình quá đó, cho nên cũng có những lúc mình cảm thấy mình không có connect được với các sư em. Nhưng mà con thường như vậy thì con thấy con hay trở về với chính từ thân của con. Con nói với con ấy là thật sự nếu như mình thương được chính mình thì mình rất là thương các sư em. Và con rất là trân quý các sư em đến đây cùng tu tập và coi đây là nhà của mình. Và mình cùng học hỏi, mình cùng nâng đỡ cho nhau để mình trở thành ở nơi đây là một. Bởi vì khi mà mình có một cái, mình muốn làm cho đất mẹ có hạnh phúc, thì trước tiên mình ở trong cái hội chúng này mình phải có hạnh phúc và mình phải có cái sự bình an. Thì chính vì vậy cho nên có những lúc con cũng bỏ qua những chuyện mà phân biệt á, để mình đi tới một cái chung để mình có hạnh phúc hơn, và sư chị sư em trong chúng cũng có hạnh phúc hơn. Thì đó là một cái thấy nhỏ của con, và con xin các sư cô bổ sung thêm. Con cảm ơn đại chúng đã lắng nghe, cảm ơn cô đã lắng nghe.
I would like to add a little bit. I remember one time I have this private consultation, the same thing that you have. She came across the same thing that you have. And I share with her that the Vietnamese girls grow up in a different culture. They also learn from the different culture, but they also want to learn their own culture as well. So I show her the way that by only way that releases suffering from inherited from the culture is to let her learn the history of Vietnam and to learn about their blood ancestors as well. By like
She was abandoned.
yeah.
We don't know her parents. Will she still inherit it?
Yeah, that is the suffering part. So I haven't finished. So the thing is that she is inherited the suffering in there. That's why she's been abandoned. That's why she wants. What I think is she wants to know is to learn. Is to know where. Is to learn where the roots of her culture. So the only way is you can help her is to sit her down, just like my sister shared, is to share, is ask some questions. You know, what is your suffering? I would like to listen to your suffering. I would like to hear what is in your mind, what is in your heart. That's the only way you can find out about your daughter.
Dear friends, what I'm hearing from my sisters is that I think there's a individual suffering, and then there's also collective suffering. And we might have inherited some suffering through the bloodline, the way of blood transmission. For instance, our body, if there's, we have a certain, I don't know the scientific word, tendency to, let's say, have cancer, for instance, or some kind of a disease. That's also a suffering that's transmitted through the bloodline. And also, we have suffering that's transmitted, while in our from our society as well, even from our immediate family, from the collective. So to say that, is this the only suffering that this person carries through her genetic, through her bloodline? That's kind of limiting suffering, I think, because each one of us, if we look deeply, we can recognize the many different kinds of suffering that are present in ourselves and also in our environment, in our society as well. And the question is, what can we do? How can we help to transform this suffering? Because sometimes when we think, oh, this suffering I have inherited, and we think we're blocked in it. We think that we're doomed in a way, or even that we have transmitted a suffering to somebody, and we think that suffering is solid, and we think we have doomed someone in that suffering. But that is not the case, because suffering, just like anything else, is of an organic nature. So suffering also has the capacity to transform into happiness. And in Plum Village, we know that happiness cannot be without suffering. You cannot have the lotus without the mud. So it's quite hopeful, even if I would have many roots of suffering, I would have many chances of transforming that suffering and to become something beautiful. For instance, for myself, I know that had I not undergone a certain amount of suffering, maybe I won't have the kind of understanding that I have today. Maybe I won't have the kind of love or empathy that I have for others as I do today. So suffering has also its goodness, and we have to recognize that too. But the question is, how do we help to transform the suffering? How do we handle the suffering within ourselves? And my sisters have shared a little bit about some of the steps. For instance, are we capable of recognizing the suffering that is going on inside of us? Many of us, we have the tendency to run away from our suffering, and we're afraid of our suffering. And it's a very, very normal and very natural part of us to not want to deal with suffering. It has to do with our basic instincts. You know, if you ever see an amoeba and you put like toxins or sugar or whatever, and the amoeba kind of like blobs away from the toxin. We also, in each cell of our body, we have that tendency to move away from suffering. In our mind as well, we have the tendency to move away from suffering, and not realizing that there is goodness also in suffering. For instance, if I never knew what hunger was, maybe I won't enjoy my lunch today so much. if I was not aware that how lucky I am to have this food, that somebody in the world is probably starving. And at one point in my life, I did not have food in abundance like this, then I maybe will not appreciate the food as much as I do. So suffering has its goodness no matter where its roots. Huh? And we in truth is because we're all very permeable, where none of us are solid blocks, separate entities from one another. So we continue to actually inherit and become and be, we are permeable to the suffering of those around us. So whether we've inherited by blood or the suffering is in our surrounding or is from the person next to us, we are permeable to that suffering. And we, one way or another, we actually receive it. So inheriting or not inheriting, that is not the whole problem of suffering. Yeah, but how to transform the suffering, how to handle the suffering. And in Plum Village, we've learned many different ways to help us to do so. Recognizing it, embracing it, breathing with it, or taking your suffering for a walk. And the thing is to not run away from our suffering, because we have a tendency to run away from it. We find many different things to distract ourselves, or we become very busy with our work. We maybe go out every single weekend, or we drink, or we, etc. We find things in order to forget our suffering. We find things to distract ourselves from our suffering. But the practice here is to recognize our suffering and to embrace our suffering. And the more we're able to do that, the more we can get the insight into out of our suffering. And insight is what will help us to transform our suffering. Yeah. For instance, sometimes we suffer because we feel lonely. We feel isolated from everyone. And we can take this suffering for a walk. And in the middle of our walk, we can see that actually the trees are there for us. And Mother Nature has always been there for us. And she is embracing us with each step that we make. So we're not as lonely as we think we are. And even if we look further, maybe there are those who are very close to us and they have offered their presence to us, but we have not been open to that presence. Or that we're actually more connected to everybody around us than we ever realized. So the insight into interbeing also is a kind of an antidote to our loneliness. So we can, learn how to recognize our suffering. What is our suffering? Because our suffering is not just like how it was described before: old age, sickness, death, etc. Those are like the very classical ways of describing suffering in the Buddhist tradition. But nowadays, our suffering is much, we can be much more exact in identifying our suffering. For instance, the problem of climate change, divorce, broken families, depression, tension, busyness, the habit of running, or even boredom. Boredom is also becoming a kind of suffering in our society. And how can we practice to recognize and embrace these and transform this kind of suffering? And that is equally as important as recognizing the roots and where the suffering comes from. Because in the sutras, the Buddha said, there was one sutra that I like very much, and I think it's in the 4 establishments of mindfulness, that as soon as you recognize it, you're already free. Yeah? You don't have to do anything else beyond. As soon as you've recognized it, at least you have some kind of freedom, and then we can move on from there. So if there is suffering, we just say, this is suffering. We recognize it. This is a kind of suffering. And we allow ourselves a chance to be with it, and then we get the insight in how to get out of our suffering. So I hope you and also many of you, we can have some Dharma discussion this afternoon about the subject of our suffering and how we practice to get out of our suffering, because the suffering is quite vast, and many of us, we have many different kinds of suffering. And this afternoon, perhaps we can share our experience of how to get out of our suffering using the practice of mindfulness. Yeah. So thank you very much for your question. I hope that's okay. And so in a few moments, dear friends, we will have a chance to practice walking meditation. And well, we'll have a break first. And then we will have a chance to do walking meditation together. And we hope that you can walk in such a way that all of the things that we have been speaking about today and that we are concerned about, like peace and healing or transformation of suffering, that you walk in such a way that each step that you make can generate the peace, can generate healing, and can generate nourishment and love. And we can also allow, or with each step that we make, we can also allow Mother Earth to carry us, to carry our body. And also, because that's the truth, each step that we're making, Mother Earth is carrying us. And actually, each step that we're making, the whole cosmos is carrying us, because it's thanks to all of the conditions that have come together that make it possible for us to make this step. So we are not making this step alone, but Mother Earth is making this step. The whole cosmos is making this step. So we walk in such a way that we get in touch with the nourishment that's available in nature, in Mother Earth, and in the cosmos. And we just allow our body to come in touch with the healing and nourishing elements that are inside of us and around us. So we hope you enjoy the walk this afternoon. In a few moments after the break. Thank you very much for your questions and for being here with us this morning.